I think we can start because Mr. Buffer is coming in minutes, and I don't want to keep you waiting. So the first presentation is computer aided go on Idan level. The paper is by Althofer, Manja, Marz, Stefan, Kaitschik, and I would kindly ask Ingo to speak.
Okay.
Thank you.
First of all, a big thank you to all the organizers of this whole event, in particular of this conference. I want to thank Josef and also Peter Baudis, who have invested many hours before to arrange everything in this fine way. As was said by Josef, my name is Ingo, and I want to report on an experiment executed with the help of Manja, Marz and Stefan Kaitschik, two German Go players. And by chance, Manja is also a professor at Jena University, where also I have my groups in mathematics. So, what do I want to present? I will speak a little bit about computer-aided gameplay, the Rieger approach, and some more things in chess. I will show you the analysis mode in Crazy Zone, one of the very strongest Go programs. I will report on 3 games between Crazy Manja, you will know what Crazy Manja is, and Stefan Kaitschik, and new stuff included after we had submitted our paper. Also one game between Crazy Manja and F.J. Dickhut, one of the very best German Go players. At the end, I want to discuss a little bit how analysis mode in computer Go programs. Rieger. The picture in top says what it means. Hirn is German term, and in English it means brain or mind. This is inside here. My Hirn. Computer also has some Hirn inside. And in the diagram, the boxes are the computers, two different ones, and a human boss above of them. The computers compute. Then each of them makes a candidate move. And then the human boss has the final choice. This move or that move. In particular, when both computers propose the same move, then the human has to accept this. So no veto. And I did many experiments in chess, starting in 1985, when the computers were still weaker than me, until 1997. And the chess players have ELO ratings, comparable to the EF ratings. And it turned out in all these experiments, the Rieger was 200 points stronger than the computers would have been alone. So my rating is 1900. In the first experiment, the computers were 1500, and then the team was 1700. And when I ended in 97, the computers were 2,500 something, and the Rieger was 2,750. So almost on one level with Kasparov in those days. And my idea had been to make a final experiment in 1999, Rieger against Kasparov. But I had one problem. Kasparov lost in 97 against Blue. So when I tried to find sponsors for this 99 event, one of them told me, why should I give you money for this complicated setup? You need two computers, but we learned one computer is enough to beat Kasparov. What he did not understand, he was the manager of the company. This one computer was a special one, Deep Blue. And in contrast, my computers were Aldi notebooks, and the software were, which I could buy also in the software shop. Okay, so for me at this point the chess story more or less stopped, but others were able to make use of chess programs. And when you look what is happening nowadays, there is no grandmaster working without computer in chess. They use it for opening preparation. The problem is they have to learn everything by heart when they go to the tournament hall. But 10 minutes before they are still in their little chamber and checking with their notebook this line, that line, and so on. Of course, the chess software is used for analysis of games that have been played. Postmortem. Correspondence chess only works on a high level with computer help, and it is in particular fully allowed to use computer help in correspondence chess. There are freestyle tournaments. The term freestyle chess was introduced by Timo Klaustermeier and me in 2004. Freestyle means one human boss and any help he or she wants to have. 10 machines, 20 books, 10 other humans, and so on. And in the meantime, there are freestyle tournaments with high prize funds, with first prize above $10,000 US. So you really can make money with this computer-aided chess in tournament style. And the last point is what some people in the chess scene do not like to hear. Of course, there are some people who use computers for cheating. Having a little machine on the toilet, or having some helper outside of the tournament hall who transmit the moves back by mobile phone. Everything you can imagine is tried. And important is what is written there in red letters, the K-best mode. So K is a natural number, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and the computer is not only computing the best move in its mind, but the K-best moves. Here's an example, Shredder, 15 times computer chess world champion, and in one of the earlier versions, this is how it looks like in 4 best mode, so K equal to 4. And you see a difference here. These two lines are black, if you could watch at my screen, you would see the other two lines. It's sorry not there, and this means for the new search step, the first two candidates are computed already, and now it is looking for number 3. And when number 3 is computed, it will do number 4, and then it will jump to depth 9 and do the same there. And perhaps some of you have seen this position. This was from the infamous game between Kasparov and Deep Blue, where Kasparov had played h6, and now Deep Blue is sacrificing the knight on e6. It will jump in here. And you see, even the little notebook programs propose this move played by Deep Blue. I switch to Go. This is an analysis screen of Crazy Stone, programmed by Rémi Coulomb from France. He is something like the father of Monte Carlo tree search in computer Go. And you see the board position in the middle. You see a list here, the rank, the move, number of play outs so far, and the probability that black will win. And you see this is a position with white to move. So the highest probability to win is the smallest one, some 48%. The next best is 49%, and so on. And each second, this list is updated. So you always see at this moment Crazy Stone think this is the best move, that is the second best, the third best, and so on. The number of play outs, 60,000, 50,000, 16,000, 9,000, and then they become smaller and smaller. And of course, only those candidate moves which had many play outs. So when you want to select your candidate move from that list, you should look in the top 2 or 3 or top 4 candidates. There's one more element. It is this. The program also shows how the result of the playouts are distributed. Not in win-loss, but in the margin of points. White means white has won those games. Black means black has won. You see this is a normal curve, Gauss curve, almost normal, but you will see other examples later. So, I took Crazy Stone, the commercial version from 2013, on a quad-core notebook, and I took Manja Marz, one of the 2 best female Go players in Germany. Her rating is 2,270. It's not clear what the rating of Crazy Stone would be when playing in normal tournaments. Maybe 2,400, maybe on that slow machine 2,300. It's not so clear. And I was the bot operator. I will tell you why it was necessary to have a third person or a third entity involved. Yes, and we called the team Crazy Manja. And some of you maybe know Manja. She is sort of crazy by herself already, so it was a very fitting name for this team. And in last winter, in January, we played 3 unrated games on KGS versus Stefan Kaitschik. He's a 5-dan from Hamburg, rating 2,385. And you can replay those games when you go to the archives of KGS. The team Crazy Manja played under my account, Go Ingo, and Go Nuts, that is Stefan Kaitschik. And before we played, Stefan was clear favorite, and you see what turned out. Game 1 was a win for Stefan after some technical battles, and it also showed Manja had never done some sparring before. It was her very first afternoon in this game. So So first of all, she had to learn how to make use of the computer information and yes. Second game, she had learned 1 week later, and had a smooth win. And game 3 was another smooth win for Crazy Manja with a special trick at the end. I will show you what this was. So in this position it was Manja's move, and she looked at that screen. She was allowed to take any of the candidate moves, but of course she knew that the top moves were more interesting. And she had her own opinion, so she even would have been allowed to overvote the machine, which she never did. Yes, she looked at this, and she also determined now,
time is ripe, now I will make this or that move. Yes, that is one move before the final of game 3. It was white to move.
the fight
was more or less over, not completely. And
what Manja
played was D11, where the red.
And you see
that is a typical move
where a computer
gives the signal, okay, the game is over, I win.
No more
interest to go for any fight, I will win by half a point, what computers like to do. And
when
Stefan saw Crazy Manja is making this move, he resigned immediately.
And he said, okay, when Crazy Stone is proposing this, then it's over. And only 20 minutes after the game, he told him, Stefan, this was not the best move of Crazy Stone, but on rank 7 only. So there were other moves which were better, maybe by 1 point or even by 2 points. So without this, White would have won by 3.5 points, and with this, it would have been winning by 1.5 points. So we lost 2 points by this choice, but no problem, he resigned. He is clever when he plays a single computer. He knows how to exploit the weaknesses. He's looking for all the signals the computer is giving by its moves, and he thought at this point, yes, this is a signal by Crazy Stone. No, it was a signal by Manja. Okay, yes. And that is how my office, where the Jena part of the game took place, looked like. You see Manja in front of the KJS screen. In the background there is my notebook, and you see the little. We had one problem in those weeks. We had big strike of Kindertagesstätten in Germany. So many mothers or fathers had to take their children with them to work. And interestingly, I had some Lego bricks there, so it was no problem. The daughter found it interesting. And the doll of the daughter is sitting between Manja and the screen, but also no problem. That was during game 3. Yes, then in May, end of May, we tried another thing, Crazy Manja against FJ Dickhut. 6-star, and yes, we were reaching for the stars. Would Manja be able to beat also him? No, it did not happen. FJ won at the end convincingly by 1.5 points. And what went wrong? Yes, what went wrong? And if you would have asked Manja, she would give you some explanation in terms of tactical lines or so. But if you ask me, you get another answer. Crazy shadows. And what do I mean by this? This is one of the positions in game 3. And you see what I told you? Normally, this looks like a bell-shaped Gauss curve. But here it's different. There are some peaks on the left side. And that shows that Monte Carlo does not understand this position. There are some tactical battles on the board, and depending on which side wins this battle, it's a high win for white, small win for white, or high win for white, or small win for black. Yes, and you see these peaks. And when a computer shows such a diagram, you cannot rely on it any longer. Then you need your human knowledge about Go. Where do these peaks come from? Yes, and I coined this feature shadows. Imagine the light is coming from the left, the white part is in the light, the black is not. Yes. And it became even worse during the game. And you see here the difference. And that was already near the end. The computer did not understand what was going on. There were too many local fights which were not resolved. For the human, it's clear. This is white, this is black. But the computer did not understand that. And I had not the time to explain Manja in detail what these shadows mean. I said, be careful, the machine may be of not much help now, but she was not familiar with these problems. Yes. And in the very end, we lost by 1.5 points. So, thanks a lot to Remy Coulomb. His bot is the only one which has such an analysis mode. And it goes back to 2011 when I proposed such a mode to him. And he really, yes, designed it and also made his Japanese company to include it in the commercial version. Nevertheless, the analysis mode is not perfect. When you have a position and the opponent has, you need 5 mouse clicks. Click on analysis, click on analysis current game, click selected move on the board, click selected move on the board for a second time, click yes when asked shall the game continue. And you see for 1, 2, 3 and 4, it's not only a key hit, you have to click by mouse, so you have to lead the mouse arrow to the correct position and then entering this. Yes, and my big question is, and maybe we will not see an answer for this in the afternoon, but some hint, when will a team with human amateur and bot beat a professional for the first time? I expect it to happen before 2020. And finally, thank you. And let me have a final word on my groups and Manja's group. I'm in mathematics, discrete optimization. Manja is in bioinformatics. And we both have from time to time open PhD positions for strong students. So when you know someone, in particular someone who is interested in computer Go as a research topic, tell them there is interest in Jena. Thanks.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, well. Okay. So, I see you are a very strong supporter of computer help in improving the strength of chess players, and you have made a lot of experiments in this field. Now I see that you also believe that computers can help Go players to improve. And so I want to ask you, what do you make of the known fact that most Go players strongly dislike playing computers and having any sort of computer help?
I always read something like that, and in the Go forum, I see a lot of times some people asking about which program should I play if I want to improve my strength, and in each case the answer is not play a computer but only humans. This is I see always answers like this one.
I think that is not a good proposal to say avoiding computers. When you look at Crazy Stone in this analysis mode, and when a beginner looks,
I am a chess player. I am both.
When a beginner looks at these candidate moves,
yes.
He is not forced to take the first choice. And I think he can learn a lot by this. I agree, the beginner should also play with other humans, more than 50% of the time. But I also believe it may help from time to time to have training sessions with Crazy Stone.
Yes. I am a chess player myself, also a not so strong Go player. I am 1700 elo points in chess, so I completely agree that computers may be of the greatest help, both Go, but unfortunately, yes, I see that many Go players do not agree with this approach. They think that only playing with human can improve your game. I don't agree with this point of view, but I hope that this will change with time.
Give them 5 more years, and they will change. At least some of them will change them.
I hope.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any further questions? If not, I would like to ask another presenter, and that would be a presentation of improving learning progress in mind sport game by Marc, Rieger, and Stefan. I think you can just put it here in the socket, or if you want to stand that. Do not speak too directly.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you very much for
Soccer clubs don't have that problem. Young
there anyway, and if some leave again, okay, they're enough staying there. In Korea and China, it might be to some extent similar with Go. Or if there are many young people come anyway, then some are self-interested and self-motivated and find their way, and the others drop out. So what? We still have enough. I can understand this point of view, but in Europe we cannot quite afford this point of view. And obviously, the motivating factor to staying active in Go is improving in strength. Now, when particular children are and stronger and start beating their teacher, then of course it is motivating and they want to keep playing. So the research questions that we had now is, what factors influence the strength improvement? And I don't mean that we wrote down a couple of factors that theoretically might help for that. Everybody could do that. But actually we wanted to check with data, with real data, whether it happens. So what works in real life? And actually once we know that, can we maybe find ways to help there, to set up some system that helps the strength improvement, the factors that improve strength. Okay, so let's start. What do we consider here as the first sample? Well, we did a survey among all participants of the German Youth Championship 2013. So it's obviously not that many kids, 36. So below you see some photos of them. And we asked questions, for example, when, where, and how did they learn Go? How often do they study? How often do they play games? We asked a couple of knowledge questions about Go, not in the sense of what Novoseki, but in the sense of do you know, for example, what Sensei's library, or do you know, some kind of buzzword? A bit more interested, no. And then we combined this with the EGF database. So you all know the European Goal Rating database, I guess. And it's very nice because you can really track every player, how often he participated in tournaments, how he played, and so on. And then we studied a couple of factors that we could find in this data and check whether the impact on the improvement, on subsequent improvement of these players. So first factor was number of tournaments that these kids played in the following year. So EGF-rated tournaments. Knowledge about various competitions and learning resources. Now this was this knowledge questions I mentioned. The self-reported frequency on Go playing. The self-reported frequency on Go studying. Whether or not they played.
Whether or not they had been taught Go by one of the parents, because we also thought that might be a good reason, because parents might obviously give some support. Or if you have a Go playing father or mother, then that might help. So these were the factors that we studied. Now, of course, what we did not study is, for example, regarding how have they been taught. I mean, what kind of teaching schedule they had, did they take, how was their Go teacher working? All these kind of more sophisticated details we could not ask in the survey. So we just asked for some kind of more factual questions, something that is really clear-cut. Okay, and that was the first result. So if you look at the Go rate
improvement from 2013 to beginning of 2015, and just look at the correlation with these various variables, then you see that there are actually two that are mildly statistically significant, namely the frequency of playing, but only on a 10% level actually, that's marked by 1 star. But highly significant was the number of tournaments. Well, we took the logarithm of that because obviously that was not normally distributed, but was highly skewed. Okay, a hint. Of course, it does not mean that the frequency of learning, for example, wouldn't have an impact, but just we didn't find a statistically significant impact. Maybe if we had 300 kids instead of 36, we would have found something. But so whenever I say there's something not significant, it doesn't mean that it couldn't be a factor. However, we found
More on this slide, let's say 1.5. And so let's follow up on those, because there we know there is something.
One question.
Yeah?
From which countries came your test persons?
They are all German kids. So it's the German Youth Championship. But the nice thing is that it was really a complete sample, so everybody answered this question. You know, these kids, I mean, if you give it authoritative and tell them, fill in this questionnaire, they do it. It's not like with usual persons when you distribute a questionnaire, adults, you see. Okay, now of course that could be actually just because some other common factors are behind it. So, for example, playing Go. Obviously, if somebody is already playing for a long time, improvement becomes more difficult. So, indeed, that was the case. Yeah, so we found a significant effect there, but still, the number of tournaments stayed significant, actually even more so. When controlling whether they had been taught by parents, number of tournaments was the decisive factor still significant. Also when controlling for the frequency of playing and learning, or for the age, so year of birth. Obviously in different age groups fast. And you might think that this was also something to do with going to tournaments, because older kids can more likely attend tournaments that are further away from their home. But well, this effect didn't really matter. So when you control for that in the regression, still the number of tournaments was significant. So indeed, that was the strongest factor that we found, and one that was very robust. So with this result, I would be, with all caution, would like to say that when kids are going to more tournaments, they improve more. Now you could think, what are the reasons for that? Well, actually, there's some previous literature that basically said that what you should do to improve in something, like playing Go, for example, to master something, you should actually do some effortful studying. So you should try to really dig deep into it, you know, work hard on that. And actually just playing at a tournament is not effortful studying. However, as I said already, I'm not saying that studying doesn't help. I just say we couldn't find this result. Maybe the sample was too small. Maybe asking people how often do you study is not the right proxy. Would have to measure it more carefully. Many possibilities. But actually there's also a possibility why taking part in tournaments has something to do with that. Because if you take part in tournaments, it doesn't only mean that you play games. Actually, you can play games online nowadays all the time, 24/7. And some kids have quite a lot of time. I know kids, you know, in a few weeks they played a couple of hundred games online. So if you really want to play games, you go to KGS or wherever you like to, and you play them. At a tournament, a whole weekend, you play only 5 games. So that's not the number of games. It might be that you put games, you might analyze them, but it might also be that you simply socialize with other Go players that you meet at the tournament, then discuss with them about Go. You might get more motivated to study actually by talking with them. You might analyze your games and profit more from them than if you just play them one by one without actually looking at them afterwards. You might learn something from other players. So basically, the social network aspect might play a big role there. But we don't know that. That's our black box. We just know when kids take part on many tournaments, they improve. Okay, now, next step. How do we make children participate in tournaments? Now that we know it seems to be good for them, so what do we do about it that more children participate in tournaments? And actually, it turned out that in Germany, we have already for quite a few years a quite nice system in place for that. That's the so-called Kids and Teens Trophy of the German Go Association. And well, for the non-Germans or the Germans here who haven't heard about it, I'm going to explain this concept And then afterwards we check whether it actually works. So how is it set up? So there are two age groups, under 12 and under 18. And actually that's somehow the symbol of this Kids and Teens Cup. It works like that every time a child participates at any tournament, well, any tournament that somehow is announced before, so that it's not, hey, I played a tournament with my daddy, but a real tournament, yeah? But it doesn't have to be EGF rated. If he or she participates there, then he gets 4 points if he won all games, 3 points if positive balance, 2 points draw, and 1 point for participated but not with more losses than wins. And at the end of the year, these points are just added, and the kids with the most points win some prizes. So they are fairly modest prizes. Well, these are kids, so if you win, I think you get €50, and then for the first 20 places, there are some small prizes, like a Go mug or something like that. And this competition has been held already since 2003, so it's quite a long time, and of course, many kids participate there. Actually, many more than you have kids that are listed in the EGF rating, because there are also small 9x9 tournaments or something that never end up in the EGF database, and actually still many kids participate there, maybe only in this one tournament and then never again. So you really have a lot of participants at this competition in this list. And it's a fairly comprehensible data set, and it's available online, just on the webpage of the German Go Association. So it's quite useful for this research. Actually, if you add up all years where a child participated, then we have 978 participant years. So that's quite a good database to do some analysis. And of course, the distribution is highly skewed because many kids have really only participated once. Or maybe their friend dragged them to a 9x9 tournament, they lost all their games, and afterwards started playing chess or soccer, I don't know, so it's very different. And then of course we have some kids who play tons of tournaments. So this is here, I think, a current standing, U12. You might have heard about Arvid Pittner, and I know it must be last year. So Arvid Pittner, and all the number of tournaments that he participated, so 12 in total, and he got 26 points out of that. And I mean, here they are listed, and as I said, that's online. And you see, I mean, Arvid participated in tons of tournaments, and other kids, although also quite strong, are quite more modest, and at the same time only participated 4 tournaments, for example.
1 moment.
Yeah, sorry.
You see number 3, Ferdinand Marz.
Yeah.
He is the son of Manja Marz, from my experience.
That's right, and Gregor Semmler is actually a student of her. So, and since we're talking about that, this is a student of mine. But that does not mean that everybody in Germany who plays Go is either Arvid Pittner or Manja or my student, so don't worry, there are a few more. So, okay, now let's use the data and see how is it. I mean, let's look at tournament participation in, so let's first look at tournament participation in the year 2012. Now actually we now go back to this data from the participants of the German Youth Championship in 2013. So the data we analyzed before. And there was one question in the survey that I did, namely the question, do you know what is the Kids and Teens Cup, Kids and Teens Trophy? And some kids didn't know it. I mean, they went to a couple of tournaments, but they've never heard about it. Actually, they were all participating, so somebody wrote them in, but they were not aware of that. But others knew it, and now let's see, does the tournament participation in 2012 have something to do whether they actually knew about this Kids and Teens Trophy? Obviously, I cannot check whether the tournament participation subsequent here had something to do with it, because if you ask them about it, you point their nose to it, they will actually probably ask back, yes, what is it? And then they know. So we had to take the year before. And it turned out that for this tournament participation in regression analysis, this was a very significant factor. Now, of course, you could think, yeah, well, okay, of course, if I'm a strong player, then I know about it because I'm long time in the business, and of course I go to control for year of birth. We have to control for the GOR score, so how strong are they? We have to control for general knowledge about those, all other knowledge questions, or whether they've been taught by parents, but in any case this stays significant, and therefore, yeah, this is a factor. So, okay, that's the first evidence, but now you could say, well, it is a factor for children who end up at the German Youth Go Championship, but they are only a small minority of all children playing Go, so let's look at the others. And there's also one question here. Maybe kids who play at many tournaments have more chances to learn about that. That could also be a possible explanation. If I go to many tournaments, in one tournament I will find somebody pointing out there's this Kids and Teens trophy to me. So that also does work. So instead we use now this Kids and Teens trophy data and check the following. Does a good placement in 1 year lead to subsequent more tournament participation for a participant? So if I have a good performance this year, will I play more tournaments next year because of that? But now you could say, yeah, if I got a good performance this year, that means I played a lot of tournaments. Now if I play a lot of tournaments this year, then I'm one of these guys who always goes to tournaments or next year. So that's a bit clear. Yeah? But of course, we can control for these factors in a regression analysis, since just by playing many tournaments, you don't necessarily end up number one in the ranking. Maybe other kids have played even more. So that depends on the year and other factors, so we have enough heterogeneity here to control for these factors. And that's a regression result here. And well, since the number of tournaments participated is really highly skewed, we used here two models. We used the logarithmic regression and we used the Poisson regression. And in any case, the place in year T was always significant for the number of tournaments played in year T plus 1. So we have a minus sign here because when the place was high, that means you had a bad result. Place number 1 is the best you can get. That's why the minus sign comes in. The control factors here, they are mostly also significant, well, because we have a lot of data and they also make sense. Obviously, if you played a lot of tournaments in T, you have a high chance also to play a lot of tournaments in the next year. If you improved a lot in a year, then you also have a high chance to play many tournaments in the next year. If you're strong, you also play more tournaments. And actually, if you are male, you play less tournaments. Don't ask me why, but controlling for strength and everything, girls play more tournaments. Also, nice. Okay. But in any case, so that's just the side results. It's for us, these are just controls. Okay, and you see the N is relatively high. Here we didn't participate in the subsequent year from the analysis. So, but still. Okay, so ultimately, if we sum up, we found that two causal effects seem to be there. Well, you know, regression analysis and causal effects, you have to be careful always, but we controlled for many factors, and we also had some time lag in some of the analysis, so I'm quite confident about that. The Kids and Teens trophy indeed helps to increase the tournament participation of children, and that in turn helps them to improve their playing strength. So what can we learn from that? Well, essentially, letting children play more tournaments, if I say children, I also mean teenagers, of course, that really helps them to become stronger and hence to be more motivated to keep playing Go. So what you should do is you should organize more adequate tournaments. If you want to have more young people in your country playing Go, you might want to introduce more online tournaments if it's difficult to do offline tournaments. I don't really have. I cannot really say that I know for sure that online tournaments will work as well because the socializing aspect is not so big. But maybe it's an emergency solution if offline doesn't work. It might help to introduce, and it definitely helps to introduce some special kids competitions similar to the German Kids and Teens Trophy, in order to motivate children more to go to normal tournaments. Because often children tournaments is difficult to organize if you don't have that many children playing Go in your area. But integrating them into the adult Go scene, that's tricky. I mean, imagine a child goes to a normal weekend tournament or one-day tournament in your country. Okay, there are, let's say, 50 participants. The child is young and talented and makes a 45th place. How motivating is that? Well, maybe the child has a lot of fun there, fine. But maybe the child comes home and says, well, I made the 45th place out of 50. Not that impressive. Not something I can show off to my classmates with. The other kid comes back from the table tennis tournament and says, hey, I made the first place in the under 9-year-old category of our city. That's something to show off with, although actually might not need more talent for that, because there were only 3 participants. But anyway, what I mean is helping to get something special for the kids might be a good idea here. Another thing might be special awards for the best child or something at a tournament. You know, these kind of things one should consider here, because it really, it really helps to motivate them, obviously. Okay, that's all from my side. I'm open for questions. Thank you very much. So the organizer escaped, I guess?
So for a moment...
there's another organizer, okay.
Are there questions?
Yeah. Can we find your paper online or somewhere?
Well, it's in the conference proceedings, and on. I asked the organizers.
Yes, so there is a conference homepage. It's we should put up maybe some paper with it, but if you Google the International Go Science Conference 2015, you will sure find the homepage, and there is a link to all the papers in digital form, so you can download them from that.
So there's a link from the European Go Congress homepage to the conference.
That's right.
That's the easiest route.
I would like to ask some questions. Thanks a lot for your strict statistical analysis. And what I asked is only an idea, so much less founded. You made a proposal to have more online tournaments. And I'm not sure if that will improve the performance curve of the children, because my impression always was when you travel to another place, your mind is in some special state. Something is new and you are more fresh to take new impressions. But when you sit at home in front of your monitor, the situation is not there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I also think that these offline tournaments are very important. So the offline character of it, that you really meet people, travel somewhere else, have some nice time simply, that also motivates you to play Go with the others. However, I'm realistic, and I have to say, in particular for children tournaments, the density is quite low in most countries in Europe, because there are just very few children. I mean, I'm also one of the program managers for the European Youth Go Team Championship, and I know that there are countries where we just can't get 5 kids together to form a country team because, well, there are no 5 kids. I mean, this is quite a pity, I think. And in these cases, you cannot expect that really, there's a youth tournament anywhere nearby. And the first step could really be if these kids could at least play online something with other kids. Because particularly if you are more beginners, if you're a kid and you start playing, let's say you're 20Q, that's already something, and then you try to play on KGS with somebody. That's hard, because there are not that many people on that level on KGS, so you probably get beaten by a couple of times by some stronger adults, and then you might lose your motivation. But if there's a special kids event somewhere, then this might be a focal point where then children from some places meet. That's my hope, that something like that works. Whether it's really feasible, I don't know. So far it was not successful. Then the next step could be, okay, once children, they played a bit online, then maybe they also have more appetite to go to real tournament and travel a bit longer for that. So that's the hope.
Thanks.
Yeah?
I'd like to have a question to a diagram to the ranking of the Kids and Youth Trophy. Maybe you can show us, because I saw number 3, ranked number 3. It was, I think,
this one here?
Marz.
No.
With a lower Q level, as shown there. And for example, Emmanuel Schaaf, ranked number 4, with a really better Q level than number 3, for instance. What does the number of points? Where does it consist?
Yeah, again, so if you participate in a tournament,
just participation.
No. If you participate in a tournament and win all rounds, then you get 4 points for this tournament.
Okay.
If you win a majority, let's say 3-2, then you get 3. Exactly.
Okay. So
and that's just added up.
Okay.
And that, of course, means that for a normal weekend tournament, it depends somehow with improve, because if you improve quickly, you play 5-0 all the time. But of course, also how frequently you go to tournaments. I mean, Arvid was not as quickly improving here. He improved by just two grades, 2 stones. Well, just 2 stones, okay, as compared to Emanuel with 4 stones. But he went to so many tournaments. Even if he plays 2-3, he gets the point, and it just adds up. So you get kind of a reward for being really diligent and going to many tournaments, and that's the key point. Yeah? All tournaments included where children play. So not children tournaments only, because children tournaments in Germany, maybe 6, 7 per year. But it's exactly a way to motivate children to go to adult tournaments. They might go to a tournament, play 3-2, but actually make the 80th place out of 100 participants. But they are happy because they get 3 points for the Kids and Teens Trophy. Well, that's the idea. Yeah.
Do you think it makes a difference for the motivation if they go to youth tournaments?
I'm quite sure about that. Obviously, I don't have data on that, but I think that children tournaments are most motivating for kids. That's my observation, also as a father. But really the problem is, since they are not so frequent, if you wait for them, then you play very little Go. So you really have to go also to adult tournaments. And there's also kind of network effect. I mean, if you have more children going to an adult tournament, the children also have more fun because they meet their friends there. So if you have only one child participating in an adult tournament, it can be very fast. I mean, they play their game quite fast, and then they sit there, and all these old guys are sitting around and still playing Go. That's boring. But if there are 6 or 7 kids, then they might play some blitz game afterwards, or 9x9, or maybe go and play soccer outside. They have a good time, and they like to come to Go tournament again. Okay? Then, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the interesting presentation. As a next step, I would like to ask Mr. Andrea Carta and Mario Corsolini with their presentation, which is called A New Approach to an Old Problem, the Reconstruction of a Go game through a series of photographs.
These are consecutive pictures that I took during a game in Pisa as well. fast because it's a small program. It's a small board and it's also a small picture. This picture were taken with a low-level quality camera, so it's a webcam actually. So the first thing, the computer recognized the grid. The red one is the recognized with the big orange button grid, and the actual computation starts. So at first, recognize the first one, and it stops immediately because there is already an unexpected situation. The photographer, as you can see, this was the previous picture. This is the next one. The photographer forgot one picture. We have 2 stones and we have 4 stones. So one picture is missing. And as this is an unexpected situation, we see later that things may go smoother. In this unexpected situation, the program halts and asks the user to confirm if only one of the 2 moves are correct or both of them are correct. So we just confirm that the 2 moves are correct, and the program goes on calculating the moves. So every time you recognize the move, we record on the left or the right part of the screen, and you will see that here we have no problem. The move was correctly recognized. So go on. We will encounter other small problems like this one, and continue the program, but the stone plate is visible. So it is recognized, and we go on with no problem. Now we are approaching other arms. We will see other hands or arms passing between the camera and the goban with no problem at all. It's quite fast on this small goban and this small quality. Another hand, but the stone is completely visible, so no problem. And we go on. Here there is a major problem. Not only the hand almost conceals this stone, which is the last played one. Actually, if this were a better quality picture, probably the program would have been able to recognize this stone. But in this very low quality picture, it's not able to. So we have one problem because we have this hand concealing the played stone. But the very, very big problem that we'll see in the next move, I will show you. This is the actual picture. I move. This is the previous one, and you can see here there are no stones, here and here. If I go through the this is the next one, we'll see there are 3 new stones. The one that we saw before and 2 stones. Because not only was an arm in that picture, but the photographer, which I am, or again forgot to take another picture. So we have 3 moves. But we will see that this is not a very big problem. So we discard this photo, we go on. The program sees 3 new stones. So it proposes to the user the choice of the 2 probable sequences of these 3 stones. So the first one may be the black stone in L3, or the first one may be the black stone in A5. With 3 stones, you have only 2 possible sequences. So the program are able to avoid many of the halts of the program and to understand what's happening without asking the user. The main problem is that, as I told you, I show you a small table, a small global size, and a small picture, because unfortunately at the moment our problem is a little bit slow. Not because of our program, but because of the graphical library we used at first, which is ImageMagick, a very powerful image graphical suite. Very powerful, but unfortunately very slow as well. So you will see now the future of Photokifu. We are porting Photokifu from this framework, this graphical framework, ImageMagick, to a new one, OpenCV. On the right side of the screen, you will see OpenCV, the new version of Photokifu. On the left side, the old version, applied on the same set of photos. And these are full quality photos with the full size Goban. So you will see our actual program is very slow. Of course, this time is twice slower because the two programs are running on the same machine, so it's slower than usual. In my computer, this program runs at about 1 frame per second. But you will see anyway that the OpenCV version is about 10 times faster. For every move that this program recognizes, this one maybe is 8 or 10 times. So this is the future. Because with this framework, with OpenCV, the OpenCV library, we are able to reach on my home computer about 6 or even 7 seconds analyzed. So 6 or 7 moves recognized every image. So in this case, we can analyze a streamed video with a good amount of data, and we are hoping to be able to reconstruct on this bunch of data what's happening without asking every time the user. So this is the future. Unfortunately, we weren't able to show you in here in this European Congress many much problems that arises during the analysis, and I put that on my website. So from the paper here you see, if you go in my website, there is a photograph page, and there is a video showing the use of photograph on the on the slides of the governor, which is standard for the tournament. Yep.
My question is, how practical is it to have video recording the keyboard, because not every player takes the camera.
Yes, of course.
So I was, I think for me it would be more practical, for me as a player, if I could do like 3 photos, but then I had to reconstruct which move I played when. But I'm just, for the future, I'm just, it's better for like tournaments, the top board, you can do a camera there for people.
Of course, the problem is that you can take other photos, but in that case you need to take mostly 1 photo per move. Otherwise the program continuously stops and asks what's happening, why there are so many new stones, what's the correct sequence of each stone, and so this is a practical way. So either you need another human hitting the shutter button, and that's not practical, or the most automatic thing to do is just to place a tripod like that one on the side of the table. It's not important that it's from the top of the table, so you can use also an angled vision. 40-45 degrees is already good. So if you have a camera here, for instance, you can record your game here. You just need a tripod in this case.
Okay.
And if you have any better suggestion, we are very happy to accept it, because we thought that this was the easier setup. And
yes, but for me, I think it's not so bad if I could do like 4 or 5 pictures of the game.
Only 4 or 5 run the entire game.
I think I could reconstruct it myself.
Well, in this case, of course, you can take for a human if you are a quite good player.
No, I'm not so good, but
of course you are enough to do so. I am a very bad player, so for me it would be an impossible task. But this was meant, well, the initial idea was to have a setup for tournament organizers, not only the single player, but the tournament will have 5 or 6, 7 webcams in the most important table of the tournament, and so they have the automatic transcription of all the important games of the tournament. This is meant so mostly for the tournament organizers, done for the single player.
Yes, but that is quite good idea.
Okay.
Two very different things. First, as a discussion here, I just had the idea, what would be really nice if one has a little box that you can put just on the clock, and once you push the button of the clock, it automatically takes a photo.
That was an idea. Yes, that we had times ago. Yes. With some kind of button that every time you push the button, the clock stops and the picture is taken. And we are also working on that. We experimented something like this setup in the PISA tournament, in the PISA International Tournament in March, and we saw that there are a few problems, because in that occasion we used a computer for Skifusnap, yes, the program from Remy Coulomb is Skifusnap. If you look for
That's available as an app for it?
I think it's an app for Android.
Yeah, well, that's fine. It works, I think, but I would be considered.
In my experience, it doesn't work so well.
Yeah, that's good again.
Maybe
Try something.
Okay. I have a question about, for example, in speech recognition programs or in optical text recognition OCR programs, an important component of the program is a so-called language model, which basically predicts in a text which word is likely to follow up. Here I think it's my question is follow up the question about the reconstruction. If you would have a model which says which move is likely to follow after which move, which is something that many computer programs already have, would that help your recognition task?
Well, that is, it would help, of course, but at the moment we have not dealt with this aspect. At the moment we only focused on the graphical, mathematical, and algorithmical point of view. It's an idea that we want to, maybe it will be necessary for video key because of if it doesn't want the program to stop, of course we must have much more knowledge on the game and what's going on the table in order to overcome the most common problem that arises. So yes, we already thought this task, and we are trying to adapt some of the open programs that are available and go essentially such things.
Okay, thank you very much for the interesting presentation. And the last speaker I would like to welcome is either Leonardo. Okay, so it's Leonardo Alberto dal Zovo, and the paper is called Proposal of Open Global Data Index for the Game of Go, and the second author is Angela Corbari. I will give the microphone back.
official instruments by the government, but it's independent assessment from the citizen perspective. So this is the main website of the project. You can see the map. Of course, the greener, the more open, so the better, and the red one not so good. And this is the top ranking in the Open Data Index. So you see in the columns the data set which are considered for ranking, and the last column is the score. So United Kingdom is the country that they really focus their open data activities. And this is taken from Open Data Census, and here, every year, contributors can just take part in this survey. And for example, I'll show you a little bit if you want to add some information for the annual budget in London. Maybe we know some. And here we can submit the information for the annual budget, and then we will answer some questions, and this will be part of the global index to assess the quality of the data. And I have a little quiz for you before going ahead. So, which country shared with the UK the first position with 100% score on government spending data set, which are actual transactional spending, real expenses. And second question is if you can order the ranking of the Asian Go countries with a professional Go system. For example, if you think that Japan is more open than China, or I don't know, South Korea, maybe it's interesting to see which country are better in this. So here is the proposal for the Go Open Data Index. It's mainly based on the work already done for the Global Open Data Index. It will use the same platform, software platform, which is free software, so we can use it. And the software, the website will be almost the same. And the goal is to collect the data of all the IGF members, 74 countries. And of course, first year we will see the result, and then we will decide how to go on. So the focus is on 8 key data sets. The first 5 are taken from the Open Data Index and are related to transparency and accountability, while the last 3 will be introduced for the game of Go, but can be used also for other games. So the first one, I will go a little fast because we don't have a lot of time, but the first one is the National Go Organization budget. So the plans for expenses. The second is the spending. If there is a detailed record of the expenses of the National Go Organization. Election results, if you can access this data. National statistics, for example, players, population, geographical distribution, these are aggregated data. Legislation, so you can find easily the constitution, regulation. And then these 3 are the particular case of Go. So if the data set of the Go clubs recognized, the Go player list, this is maybe a little bit tricky or difficult because there is also, of course, some privacy issues. We will talk a little bit about later, and tournament calendar of all the tournaments in the country. So what we are going to evaluate these 9 datasets is with some questions, with 9 questions, and we will give points to each of these questions and this will be the final rank based on the score. So we give priority to the technical side of the data instead of the legal aspect, because we think that in an introductory phase it's more important to first look at the data and then the legal aspects. So the 9 questions are: does the data exist? Is the first question, of course. Can be in any form, and then is it in digital form? So, for example, also a scanned copy of a paper is a digital form. Is the data available online from an official source? If you can find it in the website of the National Go Federation, then it's okay, it's online. Is it machine readable? This is maybe not very easy for not technical people, but it's for example, an image is not really machine readable, while a CSV, JSON, XML are. So is it available in bulk? If you can easily download all the data at once. Is the data timely and up to date? And these are the last 3 are legal questions. So is the data publicly available? This may not be so easy, but let's say that it can be publicly available even if you have to pay it. The next question is this one. And example are if you can buy it, if you can download a PDF or get a paper, it's okay. But if you have to ask formally and justify your request, then it's not publicly available. Then is it the data available for free? Of course, if you pay, it's not free. But if you can access this document only if you are a member of the organization, maybe you have to pay a fee yearly, and this is not considered. This is still considered free because there is not a strict connection before for the request and the data you are obtaining. And is the data openly licensed? We saw before at the beginning some open licenses. So the project, this is the situation of the project. We are going to publish the website very soon, these weeks. Then we will promote the initiative. We are looking for contributors, reviewers, partners. In October, December, we will collect the data. At the beginning of 2016, we will review the data, and then in spring we will publish the results, and then we will see how to continue. So I give you, if you want, how to contribute. For example, let's say we want to answer to this contribute for the FIGG, the Italian Confederation, and we want to help the project. We will choose the Go Player register. We want to contribute. So we say, does the data exist? Of course, I am Italian, so I know where to look. I can answer. So the data exists. Is in digital form? Yes. Is it available online? Yes. Machine readable? No, because it's PDF. In bulk, yes, it's a single file, so it's easy to download. It's up to date. 4 updates in this year. I think it can be considered up to date. publicly available? No, because it's only for members of the federation. Is it free? Yes. Members don't pay. Is the license open? No, because it's only for members. So we have the final score, 80 over 125. Another example, the tournament calendar. Well, it's almost the same question. You just have to know where to look for the data and you can answer. It's quite easy, I think. And this is even easier because national statistics doesn't exist, so we already finished. So, contribution to the project, most of the work and the people we need, I think it's for the quality review of the data. And the main actors are contributors, which are the people that submit information. What we just did just before. I mean, tell where to find the data, answer to that question. And of course, it's easier for country answer to their country. Then there are horizontal reviewers, and these are people with experience on the data on one particular country. They can check for if the contributors find the right place, maybe they missed, so they check this. Also, we will have expert or vertical reviewers. This is more about thematical review. I mean, maybe this is done to, for example, we said, okay, it's data of the Go player registry is up to date because we have 4 updates in the year. Maybe in another country this is not so good. So these people, this reviewer, try to find a common strategy to evaluate this point. And then there should be a kind of committee that appoints the reviewers and, of course, deal with the situation to fix problems. So there are other activities, roles, marketing, media manager. It would be nice to, share this knowledge. Art designer to give a little bit nice image to the project. Software developers, I will do most of the job, but if you want to help, you're welcome, of course. Which are the expected results for all of this? Which we want to answer mainly these questions. How much data is actually being released? We don't know now. Which kind of data, which format, which country is doing this, which not. And this is a benchmarking tool for open data, but I think it's very important because it will allow people to compare also how countries behave over the years, and also it will encourage Go organization, Go clubs and players to work together to improve the quality and increase the quantity of the data released. So these are some possible effects. This is a bit, let's say, theoretical, and I think it's we won't see the effect in the next months or maybe first years, but it's a long-term goal. So for the national goal organization, efficiency, transparency, and accountability, probably this is most important. I will go fast here. For the Go community, more data, more information the community can access, more they can participate, understand decisions. So this is important. It's also very important access to information because in the index you can easily see how countries, what data, where to go to find the data without, it's very easy. You go to one site and then you can go to every other national organization website to check in exactly that point where the data is. So you don't have to do a lot of search. For the whole Go ecosystem, I think that with data, we create new services and also international visibility because it's more possible to obtain data information. And let's make a practical example to finish. So let's say we want to make use of the tournament datasets that the Go organization provides. So, for example, idea, we want to make a mobile application for Go players that consume official calendar to show events in your country and abroad. Maybe can send you a notice when your tournament is inserted in the calendar based on your preferences, your location, and this also allows you to share on social media the events you would like to attend. So I think it's very interesting. I don't know if there is something like this, I don't think. So the benefit it's very concrete of the Go Open Data Index for this idea, this project, because you can see in seconds which country have a calendar, which license they use, so if you can use this data to build your application, and which restrictions are on this data. For example, in Italy, no commercial use is allowed. So probably you can make an application like this and get money from your user. Of course, you can talk to the Italian Go Federation and ask to allow you. This is the philosophy of open data. If you want to use the data, you can ask to open, and then you can build your project. Another benefit, you can have a direct link to the exact location of the data instead of starting to visit, which are also probably in foreign languages, so it may be difficult. And last but not the least, you can rely on the quality of the information because reviewers check the data, so it's very reliable, this information. So I will finish with the answer. If you know or you want to guess which country is the best, has the best score, together with the UK for the government spending. This is from, of course, the Open Data Index, so we were talking about the countries, real countries, no Go association. So you want to guess? Anyone want to try without looking at the website? Sweden?
Denmark or New Zealand?
Switzerland.
Shall I see you the result? It's Greece. And Germany is just...
But we don't measure we don't need a reality check, so the numbers are anyway related to reality.
I don't know if the numbers are true or I don't know. But anyway, they publish data. So if you want to check them, then you can. And can you order the ranking? Which Go professional country is more open? China, Japan, South Korea?
I would think Taiwan.
Taiwan first. It's 11th position in the global index, so it's quite good, Taiwan. Japan is very close. South China, the 76, 71 is the score. I mean, of all the data in Taiwan, 76% is open data, let's say. And North Korea, there is no data. Sorry. Okay, thank you for your attention. And of course, feel free to contact me if you are, of course, looking for mainly reviewers and people who want to, believe in this idea to open data. Thank you. If you have any questions? Yes.
Two questions. Why is the format doc not
machine readable?
If you say CSV is, so I'm a little bit surprised because this is both text.
Yes, but Word documents are not so, the structure of the internal representation of the data. Okay. So a CSV is just text, a Word document is more complex, it's a proprietary format, it changes over time, so it's not easy for a machine to read, understand the text. Also, usually data is kind of tables, so it's not easy in a Word document to read, understand columns. It's not very easy.
And the second question, did you compare your Go open data approach with other board games like chess? Do they have a similar approach?
No,
or is Go in this respect?
No, we first to do this, so this is a plus. And I would like to say also that I was in contact with the Open Knowledge Foundation. They said the project is really interesting because it's, they made a project, but they want to, see that people get involved in open data, but also they want to see different approach, and they were very interested in this project. They are helping me to set up the platform, and this is, I think, very interesting because I also contributing back because I'm asking questions. I said, oh, your documentation should improve. So this is a mutual interest to go on with this. So I hope you will help this project too. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for this interesting presentation. Now the first part of the Go Science Conference is over, and now we will have some 30 minutes before the next part starts, so you can go refresh yourself if you wish. And the second part will be a series of invited talks and demonstration, which starts at 3. The part which starts in 30 minutes, as I said, is a demonstration game between the human-computer team, as Mr. Althofer presented, and the professional which this human-computer team will be playing against is Guojuan. And the game. And during the presentation, there will be also a demonstration of the photo Kifu. So thank you very much.